To see you. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. So glad you are here. We are in the second service in our Some Walls series. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. So last week, if you were here, you heard myself, Reverend Michael Slack, and his wife, Elena Romero. We sang it as a trio, and we're all going to learn the chorus right now so we can sing it throughout the service. It goes like this. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. Try it with me. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. That's it. So throughout the threshold moments, that will come around a lot, and feel free to sing along. Pick any harmonies you want. Just do your thing. Thank you, Travis. Our first hymn this morning is number 1002 in the Gray Hymnal. It's a beautiful hymn by Mimi Bornstein in the deluge of bad news we keep receiving from news and social media and all the places. This is a very beautiful hymn of comfort. So let us rise together in body or in spirit and sing number 1002, Comfort Me. So glad you are here, that we can be in this space together. This is the best place to be in Atlanta, Georgia, on a Sunday morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, a beloved community that changes lives. I'm Barbara Begner, and I'm so glad that you're here this morning. Wherever you are from, whomever you love, you are welcome here. If this is your first time or you've not yet had a chance, please stop by our Welcome Center in the social hall after the service to allow us to get to know you a little better. You can sign up to receive information about services and programs being presented over the next few weeks. This week, there will be no adult religious education program in the sanctuary so that our children and youth RE teachers can participate in the RE team mid-year teacher check-in. That said, all visitors and guests are invited to attend the weekly Inquirers class at 12:30 p.m. in room 1, just off the sanctuary. This week, the Inquirers will be discussing the worship in the liturgical calendar. And this Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., you are invited to join a month-long, all levels yoga series taught by Ayana Coffey Stringer, aimed at teaching the foundational skills that will keep your practice safe. I do hope you'll plan on taking advantage of all our religious education program has to offer. And now please be sure to take this moment to put your cell phone in the most reverent position. Thank you. And once again, I'm so glad you're here on this beautiful morning. Let us say the chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
The light of our chalice flame also represents the warmth of community. So won't you please take a minute to turn to someone sitting near you, maybe someone who you don't yet know, and welcome them into this holy space with a handshake or a hug.
Glad you're here. Some walls are made of stone. Sometimes we build our own. Some walls are made in fear that love let go will disappear. If there's any hope, if there's any hope of love at all, some walls must fall.
The universe, or that which some people call God, gives us signs, and it is up to us to make meaning out of them. The angry nighttime storm, awakening to a misty, sun-drenched world, fresh and glistening, the low moon hanging just above the tree line. Did you see it? When people build walls, when they speak of walls, when you come to a wall in your life, what happens to you? Are you intimidated, challenged? Are you rebellious? Are you lonely? Walls are a part of civilization, of ancient folklore and biblical legend, but amidst the division we face today and have faced throughout human history, our UU faith shows us a third way to reach out to one another. Let us discover this new way together.
If there's any hope of love at all, some walls must fall.
Margaret Williams, UUCA religious education teacher. If you have a hidden talent, we're going to find it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but we will find it and we will all benefit. Thank you so much, Margaret. What an honor. One of my New Year's resolutions is to have the reading, the title of the reading for you in the order of service. So far, so good. This morning's reading is by the poet Joy Kogawa, Where There's a Wall. Where there's a wall, there's a way through a gate or door. There's even a ladder, perhaps, and a sentinel who sometimes sleeps. There are secret passwords you can overhear. There are methods of torture for extracting clues to maps of underground passages. There are zeppelins, helicopters, rockets, bombs, battering rams, armies with trumpets whose all-at-once blast shatters the foundations. Where there's a wall, there are words to whisper by loose bricks, wailing prayers to utter, birds to carry messages taped to their feet. There are letters to be written, poems even. Faint as in a dream is the voice that calls from the belly of the wall. So ends the reading.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity. Let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision, clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in
Let us put hands upon hearts and feel the warm connection. Let love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love will heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Please keep longtime members, Pat and Man Reed, in your loving thoughts and prayers. Man has suffered a stroke this week and has been moved to hospice. Cards and emails are welcome. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning, people in need of loving energy, people who may be struggling in your own life. Speak their names into this sacred space now. So many places across the world are suffering under destructive climate change, crises, war, regime that is chaotic and confusing. We send our loving prayer out to those places, Iran, Iraq, and across the Middle East, Puerto Rico, Australia. Hold a place that is suffering in your mind's eye. Hold it in your heart. Send love and healing energy to that place and its people and its wildlife. As humans have gathered for millennia, so we gather on this day to gently surrender to something beyond ourselves, to humbly acknowledge our mistakes, to ask forgiveness, to seek hope and renewal, to honor the earth that supports and sustains life, to remember that all beings are inextricably and mysteriously connected, and to feel that connection. Now we still our bodies, and we still our minds. We take in a big breath, and we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the wise silence.
Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. Then when life is done for me,
The new year provides the chance to reflect on where I'm going in my life, where I put my energy. I choose to put my energy toward creating community in whatever way I can. When the world suffers under the weight of so many disasters, when our administration creates chaos and a deeper conflict rather than structure and responsible leadership, it can be difficult to know where to turn with all the anxiety in the world. It's the little things that get us through. Building community together truly does heal our corner of the world. Maybe it's sending cards to people in the congregation who are struggling just to let them know that you were thinking of them. Maybe it's building a Habitat for Humanity house together like some of our congregants did this weekend. Maybe it's nurturing a child in this community by teaching RE. Maybe it's ushering and welcoming people each Sunday with a warm smile and a kind and loving word. When I feel overwhelmed, I try to remember all the small ways I create community with all of you, and I feel hopeful again. May each of us look within during this year and find ourselves more generous, more kind, and more able to give and receive love. In the spirit of this love, the offering will now be given and gratefully received.
so easy to feel hopeful from my standpoint. All week long, every day, I see so many blessings, the holy work that each of you do, and it often comes in the form of Joyce stitching costumes for the Christmas pageant late into the evening, or creating spreadsheets for our religious education curricula for next year, or Geraldine coming every Wednesday to set up for our wonderful Wednesday meal, or Carol coming to my office and helping me organize all the mountains of papers and files, or Barbara and all the millions of things that you're doing for this place every week, and so much more than I can even name in this moment. All of that is holy to me. And all of that is a contribution to something greater beyond each person. If we can harness that, all those efforts, the tremendous blessing that they hold, the fact that some people went and built a Habitat for Humanity house and I found out about it the next day. I mean, it's amazing. We can harness that. We can definitely change this community. And from that, we can change the state, maybe the country, maybe the world. I'm serious. It's these small steps, being part of something greater. Blessings on this gift, on your generosity, and all the ways you show up for community. May this go far and wide to spread more love and to make a place of welcome for more and more people. Blessings on your gift.
And now please join me in the dedication of this offering. The words can be found in the order of service or on the screen. Sorry. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
So what do you do when you are faced with a wall? Thank you for moving the wall of the piano, Travis. My earliest memory of a wall coming tumbling down was November 9th, 1989, the day the Berlin Wall fell, and the way my family gathered around our small television, just like families gathered around their TV sets across the neighborhood, across the country, and across the world to see young people scaling that wall. You remember that? Which had become a concrete graffiti canvas at that point. And it was designed to control immigration patterns. This has always been the history of walls, to control people moving, keeping some people out, others in. And yet, humans, we are migratory. People have always immigrated. It is part of human history. It is also part of human behavior, like flocks of birds, like a flamboyance of flamingos, like a pandemonium of parrots, like a committee of vultures. I just got really excited about those. We too migrate for reasons of weather, prospecting, escaping violence, for reasons of family, seeking hope, food or resources. Always have, always will. Some of you this week have sent me pictures of yourselves standing on or in front of famous walls, including the Berlin Wall. And some of us, I'll wager, have a piece of the Berlin Wall somewhere in our homes to hold in our memories and in our collective reality that some walls really do come tumbling down. But what do you do when you are faced with a wall? What does a wall do to you, to your psyche, to your body? One of my favorite biblical characters appears in the book of Joshua. Her name is Rahab, She's a prostitute living in the city of Jericho. And when the Israelites, now under Joshua's leadership, decide to take that walled city as their first strategic military move to conquer Canaan, they first send 2 spies on ahead to investigate the military strength of Jericho. These 2 spies find hospitality in the home of Rahab because her home was literally built into the wall. I love that Rahab lives in the wall. She is a sex worker, savvy, scrappy. She is a survivor. If the people within that walled city represent the civilized, the workers, the slaves and masters to each other and to empire, and those unwalled nomads submit to a higher principle and purpose, well then Rahab inhabits both worlds. Rahab hides the Israelite spies from the officers of Jericho, and she strikes a deal with them. She agrees to help them survive and spy on the town, and she shares crucial military information with them. But in return, she says they must spare her life and the life of her family. And in this way, Rahab charts a new course for herself and for her lineage. She tells the spies that all the people of Jericho's hearts melt in fear against Joshua's Israelite army. And so these spies agreed to protect her as she protected them, and they agree that if there is bloodshed, she should throw down a red cord from her window, and the Israelites will skip her and her family's home in the massacre. And so the Israelite spies sleep on her roof until they depart Jericho a few nights later, still unseen. The spies then go to inform Joshua that the entire city of Jericho fears them. So Joshua orders his army to march around the city once a day for 6 days. While marching, the soldiers play their trumpets as the priests carry the Ark of the Covenant around the city of Jericho in a 6-day battle cry. And so the fear inside the walls builds and builds. And on the 7th day, the Israelites marched around that wall of Jericho 7 times. Joshua assures all of them that everyone in the city must be slain except Rahab and her family. And so at Joshua's orders, the military produces a powerful roar. A roar so powerful, Jericho's walls miraculously tumble down. The Israelite army races in, quickly conquering the city, and as promised, only Rahab and her family were spared. In this story, Rahab, the wall dweller, her parents, her siblings, and all their children survive. When a woman such as Rahab prevails and survives and goes on to ensure the survival of others, she reveals a different reality, a reality in which sex workers are at the center of the story, no longer banished to the edges of society. And this theme of survival and subversion can help us chart our course for this decade where we are now. If we are neither the war general nor the political leader, what power do we have? Quite a lot of power, as it turns out. See, in these days of rage and chaos, when entire continents appear to be burning, when our political leaders bring us to the brink of sudden war as a mere diversion tactic, no matter the cost of life, when the fabric of Western ways of life are pulling at the seams and ripping apart, well, there are walls we must face. And in God's story, in this biblical story, it is important to note that some walls cannot be conquered with bombs, excavators, nor political decrees, but with a collective roar. And also remember, the people of Jericho lost the battle because they succumbed to their own fear of those unwalled travelers out there. So we must not be tempted by a campaign that will make you afraid of people on the other side of a wall. Not just a real wall, and not even a wall of ideas. So how can we preserve our spirits, our sanity, and our collective resilience when we reach a wall? Whether it be a Facebook wall, or a wall at our southern border, or a wall of misunderstanding and pain, or all the walls we erect to protect ourselves, to hold each other in place. The Nurikabe is a spirit from Japanese folklore. Its name translates to plaster wall, and it is said to manifest as an invisible wall that impedes or misdirects travelers walking at night. The Nurikabe takes form as a wall, usually invisible, that blocks the path of travelers as they are walking. And some versions of the legend say that trying to go around this wall is futile, as it extends forever. It has been suggested that the legend of the Nurikabe was created to explain travelers losing their bearings on long journeys. And so, as we journey into this new decade, we will face this trickster spirit, a wall that may seem impassable. We may face walls that appear to go on forever. And if we find ourselves among the walled, then we must not fall prey to the battle cry march going on all around us. Let us not be like the people of Jericho, whose hearts melt in fear of those outside our walls. Let us instead learn from the brilliant subversiveness of Rahab, a sex worker, a woman whose negotiation skills and self-preservation skills sustained her family's resilience and her lineage, while others perished in fear all around her. It is 2020, the year 2020, and it is we who must roar into these 20s and not quake in fear of some inevitable doom. Walls are designed to incite fear, to be formidable, but the poet reminds us, where there's a wall, there are words to whisper by loose bricks, wailing prayers to utter, birds to carry messages taped to their feet. There are letters to be written, poems even. So if you are thinking, who am I to scale a wall? For I have never been that kind of person. These times call for deep courage. And I believe we can carry each other out of fear together. And if you are thinking, who am I to carry messages to those who are walled off from me? Well, I want you to know that if you are willing, there is a way. Now, I have been speaking metaphorically, allegorically, and I will now speak practically of what I mean. If we can take our Unitarian Universalist commitment to seek truth, whatever that means to us, to encourage others to seek their truth, then this is what it will take. First, communicate in person whenever possible. I don't really know if that is a wild thing to say in this day and age, but I'm just going to say it. Whenever possible, communicate in person. What someone shares on social media or anywhere online is the beginning of the conversation and not the end. This is not a time to rest in our assumptions or our projections or our tendency to assume the worst of people. This is a time to pick up the phone, knock on the door, reach out and learn more of the story. And second, do not participate in spreading misinformation, even if it benefits your side of the story. Perhaps especially if it benefits your side of the story. Make a commitment right now to read past the headline and seek the truth to the best of your ability. And 3, practice deep listening and know thyself. This is the hardest part. This will be rigorous work, and it will require deep self-compassion coupled with deep humility. We will work on this together in community, in worship, and beyond in other ways too. Next, participate in your democracy. Be a leader. Help others vote and contribute. Our future is not written, and our outcome is not yet known. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We do not know what is coming. We do not yet know. Pray for people who would declare themselves your enemy. Or if you do not pray, hold them in meditation and compassion in your heart. And if you have no enemies, then you are staying safer than these times allow, and too safe. You probably have enemies who don't even know you, who you have never met, but who oppose that which you stand for. Prayer is like flexing your empathy muscle. It's really like really flexing that empathy muscle. And finally, ground yourself. Respond, don't react. These are reactive times. Response requires sitting with discomfort, moving slower, taking care of yourself. And it probably also requires prayer. This is how we will stay subversive and how we will survive, how we can be wall dwellers instead of falling into that false duality of those who are walled in and those who are being kept out. These are complex times. If we are to be wall dwellers like Rahab, making a way for ourselves and others to thrive, well then we must be able to hold these complexities, these complex truths, in a time where we are being asked to think too simple. We actually need to think dialectically. That's what the behavioral therapists call it. More than anything, this complex thinking is what is required. Behavioral therapist Robin Chancer reminds us that in this moment, we must stay clear to the reality that people are rarely fully good nor fully evil. People are rarely fully good nor fully evil. I'm not saying nobody, but rarely. The truth is, most of us are complex webs of goodness, love, selfishness, and aggression. Individuals are not selfless or selfish. They are selfless and selfish. Our political terrain includes progression and regression. Embracing ambivalence, paradox, and shades of gray, well, that's what promotes a sense of wholeness, sense of flexibility. We become less outraged when circumstances don't fit within our rigid expectations. We do good things because they are good, but results are not guaranteed. That's another thing we need to remember going into this decade. Do good things because they are good and not to guarantee the outcome. Sometimes circumstances work out as we hope, and sometimes they do not. Most often, the circumstances are too complicated to understand fully. This is how we will build our resilience. And finally, we are responsible for our world. Believing in some mysterious force called progress absolves us all of responsibility. So let's not do that. Similarly, faith that God has a plan can promote complacency, but compassion, love, and affirming values exist because people intentionally work toward them. Claiming responsibility focuses our attention on what we can do to improve our world. Stay grounded in radical love for people who have long felt like they've been like they've been outsiders. One simple way to tear down a wall is to create spaces where outsiders feel more loved, more welcomed, more free. So I want to welcome you to the Roaring 20s, where our commitments and our resolve must stay fresh and renewed. Because faint as in a dream is the voice that calls from the belly of the wall. Amen. Blessed be.
I said at the first service that the best compliment I get on a Sunday morning is when someone comes up and goes, "Well, I needed that." Right? That's just a really great compliment. And then, Margaret, I just needed what you played this morning. It just, that Brahms, yeah. And I got really amped during the Debussy, too. I was like ready just to get up out of my seat. It was so great, so great. Our final hymn this morning is number 126 in the Teal hymnal. If every woman in the world should be called, there would be no more war. Please rise in body or in spirit. If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raises children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
Won't you please stay standing and hold hands for the benediction? I think what we need going into 2020 to face these walls being erected by empire is to refuse to be enemies. Like the song says, to refuse to be enemies, to look for those chinks, those cracks, to send messages to each other, to communicate better. We can do this. This is our calling, and it won't be easy. but I do believe in community all things are possible. Go in peace. Go in love. Amen, and blessed be.